First of all, I want to thank you, Wura, for putting up this bootcamp.
Thank you, Coach Wura. You are a blessing to us in this bootcamp and to your generation at large.
Coach, you are amazing. I love your teaching. I love how you are genuinely teaching us and you genuinely want us all to be successful and to start right.
Thank you, Coach Wura.
And thank you, Coach Wura, for investing in the next crop of fashion entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
And so you're a fantastic teacher, being able to break down to the nitty-gritty in the simplest of ways that even a baby would understand and be able to implement.
I have never had so much thinking about my business. Like my eyes are just opening every day to new things.
And I'm really grateful for this platform because it has made me to realize that in order to be successful, we have to build systems.
It has really been an eye-opening journey for me. I finally understood the power of having clear standard operating procedures for my business.
I have never seen a more consistent person in my life. The kind of way you inspire us, even if we are ashamed to give excuses in the bootcamp. So for me, Wura is a real deal. Go and check her out.
Thank you so much, PFA.
I'm really proud to, call you my coach.
Thank you, Coach Wura.
God bless you.
This was the moment I knew something had to change. I had just gotten married. My husband lived abroad and I needed to spend time with him. So I traveled. Week 1, things were fine. Week 2, I still had work. I was running a bespoke brand at the time and work was still going on. But by weeks 3 and 4, when the work which I had collected and scheduled, started, had been produced and they started giving them back to customers, and customers started coming in and saying, "Oh, where's your madam? Madam no day. Where's your madam? Madam no day." And they started taking back their clothes. And then my stream of income essentially dwindled or ceased for the entire period. I knew that something had happened. So when I came back 3 months later, I realized something painful. My income had paused. And it wasn't because the market dried up. It was because I was absent. Life happened and my business could not survive it. My name is Wura Obaka. I am called your profitable fashion coach because I am the only one who is obsessively, compulsively interested in making sure your fashion business is profitable. And this zeal comes out of my personal pain. Right now, I'm in the UK for a program, and so I'll be away for a while. But my fashion brand, Wura, is standing, it's fulfilling orders, it's fulfilling deliveries, it's taking orders. Things are functioning. I don't have to be there for things to function. So today, we're looking at the topic that you are sewing like a dressmaker, but you are expecting CEO level results. Now, let's go back to that story I started with. When orders stopped coming in, I realized something very uncomfortable. I wasn't operating like a CEO. I was the most skilled employee in my business. Yes, I was the most skilled employee in my own business. So I realized that this is not normal. Everything was depending on me, on my hands, on my memory, on my presence. How do you scale a fashion brand if everything depends on your memory? So because there was no standardization, because there was no clear delegation, because there was no production independence, I realized that my talent could only take me so far. That lack of structure in 4 weeks told. It told on my finances. It told on even the trust that customers had for the brand. So let's delve into the concept of the CEO as a technician and the CEO as an architect. Now, there's a difference between a technician and an architect. When you want to build a house, you get an architect. An architect designs the plans. He does the building. He does he designs what goes where would the toilet be, where would the kitchen be, where would this be, he designs what goes where. He designs how the entire building should look by the time it is finished. That's what an architect does. Now, what does the technician do in this ecosystem? The technician works inside the process. He solves the tasks. If he needs to do plumbing, the plumber will do it. If electricals need to be done, the electrician will go into the ceiling, he will do the wiring, he will do the taping, he will do whatever needs to be done. He touches everything that needs to be touched, but he does not control anything unless he actually does it. That's what the technician does. But the architect, on the other hand, designs the process, sets the rules, builds the systems, allows execution. So I had built a business that needed my touch more than my leadership. And that was a systemic failure. So my business needed me to be physically there, physically present, deep in the trenches, doing technician work. And that was the day that I knew that life was expensive. So I know where you are because I've been there. I started out as a dressmaker, maybe like you. Most of us in the craft start out as dressmakers. We love what we do. We started sewing because I always say I started sewing because, a tailor spoiled my dress and I was like, sewing couldn't really be that hard. So we started out with the craft. We wanted to learn excellence and we did. We wanted to learn beautiful finishing and we did. And there is nothing wrong with that. But why sewing is tangible, systems are invisible. And it is those systems that determine whether you are going to have a business that will grow and that will scale, or whether you will have a business that would keep you stuck. It is those systems that will do that. So when things feel unstable, what do we do as dressmakers? We sew more. We improve technique. We get more technical skills. We work harder. But many times, that's not what's needed. What we need to do is to sit down and ask ourselves the hard questions. There's some structure missing in this business. What do I need to do to put the structure back? How do I design this structure in a way that doesn't make me hit a plateau again? For me, at that point in my business, when I came back to Nigeria, my question was, what do I do to make sure this thing that happened to me never happens again? And that was when I started transitioning. Because for me, transitioning was not a matter of convenience. It was a matter of innovate or die. That was what it was. And when I transitioned to ready to wear, something actually changed. Something changed. I first had to figure out how to standardize my sizing. That was the first thing, because I was going to be creating designs that I was scaling to many people, that I was selling to a lot of people at a time. So I needed to have standardized sizing to be able to make sure that one design could serve many, and I didn't have to constantly get stuck in the loop of creation. And so I tell founders who say, I don't have money to start a ready to wear brand. Ready to wear is capital intensive. And I say, is it? Because many times we think that to go into ready to wear, we need to do 1 million new styles and then start trying to sell. But the biggest thing in ready to wear that you need to do is to create a system that guarantees consistent sales. And it can be with one item. You can have one hero item that keeps you in business. And I know this because I am talking from experience. We may have a varied product line, but we have one hero item that keeps us in business. And if you learn how to create a system, you will be able to sell that hero item over and over and over again and scale it. Look at fashion brands. Let's talk about Chanel. You see Chanel that is associated with the tweed. So everybody that sees Chanel thinks, oh, or if you see a tweed, you think, oh, this is Chanel. Or if you see a Birkin Hermes bag, you're like, oh, this is an Hermes. But Hermes has been selling that bag for years upon years upon years. So moving from technician to architect means that you are designing a system that is boring, very boring. That boring system ensures that you have repeatability. It is that repeatability that is the structure. That is where the scaling comes from. If you cannot design a system that gives you repeatability, you cannot scale. It's really that simple. And so, what did I do to transition? Number one, I built a sizing system for my brand because I knew that I wasn't going to send a size 12 today and then tomorrow the person is ordering the same size 12 and it's a different size 12. I couldn't have that. So I standardized my sizing. I defined what quality meant. So if you are finishing a shirt in Wura, you know the finishing you use. You know you're using a flat fell on the hem, on the seams. You know you're using a rolled hem for the hem. You have defined quality. I don't allow the technicians in the business to use their brain, to use their initiative. That is not what systems are. Systems are that you create a repeatable way of doing things. That is the meaning of a system. That someone can come into your organization and say, this is exactly how I want to do it. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because you have documented it and you have created a repeatable way by which that thing is done. So I standardized my sizing. I defined what good quality meant. I didn't say, give me good quality garment. I defined what good quality garment meant. I started batch producing because, again, I told you, I started deciding that I had to stick with what were my hero. I didn't want to sell 1 million things. I wanted to master the craft of selling the one, understanding my customer, understanding my message, and doubling down on it. So because I was able to do that, I'm now able to batch production. So we have production cycles when we're producing, and then we have cycles when we are selling. I had to document every single part of my process, from how orders come in, to how customers are attended to how refunds are done, to how returns are done. I had to document my vision. I had to document the mission. I had to document our core values. I had to document a constitution. I had to document a staff handbook. All these things help you create a system that can function without you. So yes, right now, I'm in London, but I'm not afraid that something is going to crack in my fashion business because I'm not there. Because it's going to function. That is what systems do. So, for the first time, after I had finished designing that system, I realized that my business was no longer in my hands. It now had a structure. It now had a documented way by which things were done. One of the simplest designs, like I said, is now my biggest revenue driver. And it's not about having complex things. It's not about having things that, one thing is flying up here, one thing is coming, like, it doesn't have to be that complex. It's about having consistency, repeatability. This market that we play in, the market playing field of ready-to-wear, it rewards consistency, not brilliance. It rewards consistency, not brilliance. It's not the most brilliant person that actually gets more money. It is the person who is able to create systems that can repeat, that can be consistent, that can keep selling, whether you feel like it or not. If the system you have is dependent on your mood, when you're not in the mood, your business will rest. When you're in the mood, you will now come back. That's not building a brand. That's building a that's building a hobby. You're a hobbyist. And so today we are looking at how you can move from sewing like a dressmaker to thinking like a CEO, how you can move from technician to architect. Consistency is the architect thinking. Repeatability, that's the architect's thinking. So I'm going to give you 3 things that a real business must survive. 3 things. Number 1, the founder's absence. A real business must survive the founder's absence. Number 2, unexpected life events. So you're sick, your child had an emergency, you are pregnant, you had an accident at work that makes you incapacitated for a little while. Last year I had a surgery. All these things that you don't expect. Your business must actually survive it. Growth beyond the founder's hands is number 3. Your business must be able to grow beyond you. You must be creating a system that builds beyond you, that leaves a legacy. There's this song by Beyonce where she says, I was here, I lived, I loved, I was here, everything that I wanted. And so she says that I will leave my mark on the sands of time so that everyone will know I was here. And I always, every time I think about my business, I think of it through the lens of that song. You need to be building a business that leaves a mark. Not that something happens and they'll say, there was one time, there was one brand like that. They used to call it. So nobody knows that you were here. So 20 years after you're gone, will your business still be standing? That's what we are building for. We're building for tomorrow. We're not building for today. And the only way you can build for tomorrow is to move from doing to strategic thinking. CEO results require architect behavior. You must plan. You must document. You must implement and create a repeatable system so that the technicians can function. Now, let's look at this example. I like to use the example of Moses. So, during his ministry, at this time, Moses had brought the Israelites out of Egypt. He had taken them, he was taking them across the wilderness. And, there were so many things happening. The Israelites had started revolting. They started saying, oh, why did you bring us out to come and die? This, that. They had started talking. And Moses was getting burnt out. And his father-in-law, Jethro, called him and said to him, this thing that you are doing will wear you out. So Jethro was in the place of mentorship when he told him that this thing you're doing is too heavy for you. So delegation came after structure. Moses had to put in that structure and then delegate. Now say, okay, you handle this, you pick the manna, you pack it, you do. He started dividing roles, including to Aaron. It is structure that makes leadership possible. If you don't have a structure, you are just, again, like I said, you are just the most skilled person in your business. You've not created a leadership engine. So the gap between sewing excellence and CEO results is not motivation. It is not motivation. It is structure. And by structure, I mean creating a repeatable way of doing things. Creating a repeatable way of doing things. That is what structure is. So, if you want freedom in your fashion business, you must first become the architect. Because growth is not about abandoning your skills. which happens to a lot of us. You get to a point where you feel like, I can't do this anymore. So you close down the business. But that's not what growth is. Growth is not about abandoning your skills. It is about building a structure around it. That's what growth is about. And that is why at the PFA, we have created the Fashionpreneur SOP Vault. That vault is the gap between sowing and CEO results. It is the gap that moves you from sowing endlessly to creating systems that can function without you. So when you have written decision rules, clear authority, people know what their roles are, what their responsibilities are, they know their reporting lines. You have brand execution standards. This is how we sew a shirt. This is how we sew a skirt. This is how we sew it. You have all those standards written out. You have things as little as how you want your cleaner to dress, to look when they come into your store, how you want the cleaning process to happen. You have a checklist that they tick when they are done. You have a definition of what being done looks like. Those are the things that move you from dressmaker to CEO. And that is exactly why the Fashionpreneur SOP bundle exists. It is the architecture behind your talents. Inside it, you will find founder authority rules, how you are able to cascade your vision, that thing that is in your head, how you're able to move it from you downwards. You'll find role clarity systems. You'll find brand execution standards. You'll find production workflows, inventory. It is the bridge between being the only one and holding everything together. And it is that bridge between being the only one and holding everything together and building a business that survives you. So if you're ready for CEO results, you must build a CEO structure. The Fashionpreneur SOP Vault is available for pre-order. And you can pre-order it by sending a message to the number which is in the comment section. And we will get back to you. Or clicking any link in the description box of this video. So if you don't take anything from this live today, I want you to remember one thing. There's nothing wrong with starting out as a dressmaker. All of us did it. We all started out as dressmakers. But if you want freedom, you must become the architect. Growth is not about abandoning your skill. It is about building a system around it. So stop being the most skilled employee in your business. Thank you for joining me today on today's episode of Fashionpreneur Friday Live. On today's episode of our Fashionpreneur Daily Fix. We'll be back here tomorrow with another exciting topic. And if you do nothing else today, remember, document your processes. My name is Wura Olobaka. I am called your one, your only profitable fashion coach. And yes, I am out here in the cold because I will deliver on my mandate. My assignment is to make sure that you are profitable. So in all you do, stay profitable. And if you need any hand holding, we have enough resources, enough tools. We're going to drop the seller link in the description box of this video so that you can reach out to our sellers page. We have the 12-in-1 ready-to-wear bundle, we have the Fashionpreneur SOP Vault, and we have our signature PFA Dressmakers Bootcamp. That bootcamp is your transition system that takes you from point A to point B. When you come out of the bootcamp, your life can never remain the same. So don't just be a hearer of the word, be a doer also. Thank you for joining me on today's live, and I will see you tomorrow on our Fashion Daily Fix. Have a nice evening.
First of all, I want to thank you, Wura, for putting up this bootcamp.
Thank you, Coach Wura. You are a blessing to us in this bootcamp and to your generation at large.
Coach, you are amazing. I love your teaching. I love how you are genuinely teaching us and you genuinely want us all to be successful and to start right.
Thank you, Coach Wura.
And thank you, Coach Wura, for investing in the next crop of fashion entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
And so you're a fantastic teacher, being able to break down to the nitty-gritty in the simplest of ways that even a baby would understand and be able to implement.
I have never had so much thinking about my business. Like, and my eyes are just opening every day to new things.
And I'm really grateful for this platform because it has made me to realize that in order to be successful, you have to build systems.
It has really been an eye-opening journey for me. I finally understood the power of having clear standard operating procedures for my business.
I have never seen a more consistent person in my life. The kind of way you inspire us, even if we are ashamed to give excuses in the bootcamp. So for me, Wura is a real deal. Go and check her out.
Thank you so much, PFA.
I'm really proud to, call you my coach.
Thank you, Coach Wura.
God bless you.